My name is Lily, and when I think about my first love, I don't remember fireworks or dramatic movie moments. I remember silence. The kind of silence that happens when someone sits next to you for the first time and suddenly your heart forgets how to beat normally. It was September, the first cold morning of the school year. The kind of morning when the air smells like wet leaves and cheap perfume mixed with coffee from teachers' cups. I was sitting in my usual place, third row, next to the window. I always chose that seat because I liked watching the sky when classes got boring. The clouds were gray that day, heavy, like they were hiding something. Then he walked in. I noticed him because he didn't talk. Most boys entered the classroom loudly, laughing, pushing each other, throwing backpacks on desks like they owned the world. But he came in quietly, holding his bag with both hands, like he didn't want to disturb anyone. He sat in the last row. I didn't know his name yet. I only knew he had dark hair that fell into his eyes and a scar near his eyebrow. Not a cool movie scar. A small one, almost invisible. But I saw it. For some reason, I always noticed small things. That was the day I started looking back. Not obviously, not like in movies, just little glances over my shoulder when the teacher turned to the board. Every time I looked, he was writing something in his notebook. Never on his phone, never talking. "Who's the new guy?" I whispered to my best friend Emma. She didn't even look up from her phone. No idea, probably another boring transfer student. But he wasn't boring to me. There was something about the way he sat, like he was afraid to take too much space. 2 weeks passed. I learned his name by accident when the teacher called him to the board. Ethan. His voice was low, quiet, almost shy. When he turned around, his eyes met mine for 1 second. 1 second was enough. I felt something strange in my chest, like someone pressed a soft button inside me, and everything suddenly felt louder and brighter. I hated myself for that. I promised myself I wouldn't fall in love again, not after what happened last year. Last year, I loved a boy who didn't love me back. I wrote him poems. He laughed with his friends about them. I heard about it in the hallway and pretended I didn't care. So I made a rule. No boys, no feelings, no stupid dreams. And then Ethan appeared. It started with small things. One day, he forgot his pen. "Does anyone have an extra?" the teacher asked. I raised my hand before my brain could stop me. He walked to my desk. His fingers brushed mine when he took the pen. I swear my heart stopped. "Thanks," he said. I nodded because my voice disappeared. After that, he sometimes looked at me, not staring, just noticing me. And I noticed him noticing me. We never talked, but we shared moments. Like when the teacher made a bad joke and we both smiled at the same time. Like when it rained outside and we both watched the window instead of the board. Like when the fire alarm went off and everyone screamed, but he just looked calm, and somehow that made me calm too. I started writing about him in my notebook. Not his name, just the boy from the last row. One Friday, everything changed. We had group work in history class. The teacher pointed randomly. "Lily and Ethan, you work together." My stomach dropped. We moved our desks closer. I could smell his shampoo. Something fresh, something warm. "So, what part do you want?" he said. "I don't mind," I replied. Our hands touched again when we reached for the paper. We both pulled back. "Sorry," he said. "It's okay," I said at the same time. We laughed. It was awkward, but good awkward, the kind you want to stay in. We worked quietly, but sometimes our eyes met and we forgot what we were doing. At the end, he said, "You're really smart." I smiled. "So are you." And that was the first compliment I believed in a long time. We started talking after that. Not much, just small conversations about music, about how school lunches taste like sadness, about how he hated sports and loved drawing. He showed me his sketches once. They were amazing. "You could be an artist," I said. He shrugged. "My dad says it's useless." I didn't know what to say, so I said, "I think it's beautiful." He looked at me like no one ever told him that before. I started waiting for him in the mornings, pretending it was a coincidence. He started waiting too, pretending he wasn't. We walked to class together, sometimes in silence, sometimes talking about nothing, but it felt like everything. I told Emma. She screamed in the school bathroom, "You like him!" "I don't," I lied. "You smile when you talk about him." I didn't answer, because it was true. One evening, he texted me, "Ethan, do you ever feel like you don't belong here?" I stared at the screen. Me. "All the time." Ethan. "Me too." That was the night we started sharing secrets. He told me his parents were getting divorced. I told him I was afraid of being invisible. He told me he hated loud places. I told him I hated mirrors. We didn't say the word love, but it was there. Between every message, between every look, between every step we walked together. The first time he held my hand, it was cold outside. We were walking home. My fingers were freezing. "Here," he said, and took my hand. Just like that. No big speech, no dramatic music, just warmth. I didn't let go. But teenage love is never simple, because feelings grow faster than courage, and fear grows faster than both. One day, I heard a girl say his name in the hallway. Another girl laughed with him after class. And suddenly, the world didn't feel safe anymore. I didn't know if I was special or just another quiet place he rested in. I wanted to ask, but I was scared of the answer. So I stayed silent. And silence can break things, even beautiful things. I used to think love was loud, like in movies. Kisses in the rain, running through airports, dramatic music in the background. But what I felt with Ethan was quiet. It lived in small moments, in shared glances, in messages sent at 1 a.m., in the way his hand found mine when the street was dark and cold. And maybe that was why it was so easy to break. It started with a girl named Maya. I didn't know her well. She was in another class. She had long blonde hair and laughed like she didn't care who heard her, the kind of laugh that filled hallways and made teachers sigh. I noticed her because she noticed him. One day, I saw them talking near the lockers. She touched his arm while laughing. He smiled back. It shouldn't have meant anything. People talk, people laugh, but my chest tightened anyway. That night, I stared at my phone, waiting for his message. Nothing. I told myself I was being stupid, but stupid thoughts have a way of becoming loud when you're alone. The next morning, he walked into class late. His eyes met mine for a second. He smiled. I smiled back. And still, something felt different. "Are you okay?" he whispered as he sat behind me. "Yeah," I said. "Why?" "You look far away." I wanted to say, "Because I saw you with another girl and it scared me." But instead I said, "Just tired." He nodded. And that was it. That was the moment I chose silence instead of truth. We kept walking to school together. We kept texting at night. But I started noticing things. How he sometimes looked at his phone and smiled without telling me why. How he was late more often. How he didn't hold my hand unless I did first. Maybe nothing changed. Maybe I did. Emma noticed. "You're quieter," she said one day in the cafeteria. "I'm fine." "You say that every time you're not." I pushed food around my plate. "Do you think someone can like two people at the same time?" She raised her eyebrows. "Is this about Ethan?" "No." "Yes." I sighed. "I saw him with another girl." "So?" "So, what if I'm just temporary?" Emma leaned closer. "Have you asked him?" I shook my head. "Then you're hurting yourself for no reason." Maybe she was right. But fear doesn't listen to logic. Fear only listens to what if. One evening, Ethan texted me. "Ethan, can we talk?" My heart dropped. Me. About what? "In person. Tomorrow?" I didn't sleep that night. I imagined every possible ending. He doesn't like me anymore. He met someone else. I was just a phase. I practiced answers in my head. Strong answers. Calm answers. None of them felt real. We met after school, near the small park behind the gym. It was autumn now. Leaves covered the ground like broken pieces of summer. He sat on the swing. I stood in front of him. "So, you wanted to talk?" He nodded. "I feel like you've been distant." My throat tightened. "I'm not." "You are," he said softly. "You don't look at me the same way." I looked at the ground. This was it. This was the moment I could say everything. About Maya, about fear, about jealousy. But instead, I said, "I'm just busy." He frowned. "With what?" "With being scared," I wanted to say. "With overthinking. With loving you and not knowing if you love me back." But I didn't say any of it. "I don't know," I whispered. He stood up. "I don't want to lose you," he said. My heart jumped. "Then don't," I said. "But I don't know what you want." I didn't either. After that, things were strange. Not bad, not good, just fragile, like glass. One wrong word could shatter everything. We still talked, but carefully. We still held hands, but briefly. We both felt the distance. Neither of us knew how to cross it. Then came the party. I hate parties. Too loud, too many people, too much pretending. But Emma convinced me. "You need to see him in a normal setting," she said. "Not just school, Ethan." So I went. The house was full of music and sweat and voices. I found him near the kitchen, with Maya, again. They were laughing, again. She leaned close to him to say something. He didn't move away. My chest hurt. I stood there, watching, like I was outside my own body. Emma whispered, "Go talk to him." I shook my head. "I can't." "Why?" "Because if I see it up close, it'll be real." She sighed. I turned around and went outside. Cold air hit my face. I sat on the steps and cried, quietly, because crying loudly feels like asking for attention, and I didn't want anyone to see me break. A few minutes later, I heard footsteps. "Lily?" It was him. I didn't look up. "Why did you leave?" he asked. I felt sick. He sat next to me. "Are you mad at me?" "No." "Yes." "I saw you with Maya," I said. He was silent. "Do you like her?" I asked. There it was, the question I had been holding inside for weeks. He looked at his hands. "She's just a friend." then why does it feel like I'm losing you? He looked at me. I don't know, he said honestly. I don't know what we are. That hurt more than if he had said he loved her, because I don't know means uncertainty, and uncertainty is terrifying. I thought you liked me, I whispered. I do, he said quickly. Then why doesn't it feel like it anymore? He didn't answer. We sat in silence. Music played inside the house. Life continued without us. Finally, he said, I'm bad at feelings. I'm bad at pretending I don't have them, I replied. He looked at me then, really looked at me. I don't want to hurt you. But you are, I said, and my voice broke. After that night, we didn't talk for 2 days. At school, we avoided each other's eyes. It felt like walking past a stranger who knew all your secrets. I missed him. I hated missing him. I checked my phone every minute. Nothing. I wrote in my notebook, maybe love is just fear wearing a pretty mask. On the 3rd day, he texted, Ethan, can we meet after school? I stared at the message. My hands were shaking. Me. Okay. We met in the same park. Same swings, different feeling. I've been thinking, he said. So have I. I care about you, he said, but I'm confused. About me? About everything. I swallowed. I don't want to be a question mark. I don't want to be a maybe. He closed his eyes. I don't want to lose you. But I don't want to lose myself either. We stood there, 2 scared teenagers, with too many feelings and not enough words. That was the first time we didn't hold hands when we said goodbye. I walked home alone. The street felt longer than usual, and colder. That night I wrote, I think we're standing on the edge of something. I just don't know if it's the beginning or the end. I didn't plan to tell him I loved him. Not that day. Not like that. I always imagined love would be confessed in a perfect moment, a sunset, a song playing, a kiss waiting at the end of the sentence. But real life doesn't wait for perfect moments. It chooses random ones, like a cold Tuesday afternoon when the sky looks tired and the wind feels sharp against your skin. I saw him in the hallway before our last class. He looked different, not in his clothes or hair, in his eyes, like he hadn't slept, like he had been carrying something heavy. When he saw me, he hesitated. Then he walked toward me. Can we talk? He asked. I nodded. We didn't go to class. We went outside instead, behind the school, where the noise faded and only the sound of distant traffic remained. We stood near the fence, so close and still so far. I don't want us to be like this anymore, he said. Like what? Like strangers who know each other too well. My chest tightened. I don't either. He looked at me for a long moment. You make me nervous, he said suddenly. I blinked. What? You always have, he admitted, since the first day. My heart skipped. I thought you didn't notice me, I whispered. I noticed you before you noticed me, he said. The world felt unreal for a second, like everything slowed down. Then why does it feel like you're pulling away? I asked. He exhaled. Because I'm scared. Of what? Of needing you. That sentence stayed with me. Of needing you. I've never been good at this, he said. My parents fight all the time. They love each other and still hurt each other. I don't want to become that. I wanted to touch his hand, but I didn't. I don't want to hurt you either, he continued, but I don't know how to love without being afraid. I swallowed. I don't know how not to love when I feel it. He looked up. Do you feel it? I didn't answer immediately, because saying it would change everything. Once words exist, you can't take them back, and I was terrified. But I was more terrified of staying silent forever. Yes, I said, I do. His breath caught. For how long? Since you asked for a pen, I said quietly. He smiled a little. I thought you were the only one. Silence fell between us. But it wasn't empty. It was full of things we hadn't said yet. I don't like Maya, he said suddenly. Not like that. I looked at him. She talks to me because she's bored. I talk back because I don't know how to say no. That sounded like him. Too kind, too quiet, too unsure. I don't want you to think you're replaceable, he added. You're not. Something inside me broke and healed at the same time. I just didn't want to be invisible again, I said. You were never invisible to me. That was when it happened. The confession. Not dramatic, not loud, just true. I think I love you, I said. My voice shook. He froze. For one terrible second, I thought I ruined everything. Then he stepped closer. So close I could feel his breath. I think I do too, he said. And suddenly, all the fear in the world had a shape. It looked like him, and it looked like me, standing there, too young to understand love, too old to pretend we didn't. He didn't kiss me. Not yet. Instead, he rested his forehead against mine. I don't want this to end, he whispered. Then don't let it, I replied. He took my hand. This time I didn't freeze. I squeezed back. For a while, things were good. Not perfect, but real. We walked to school together again. We sat next to each other at lunch. He drew pictures of me in the margins of his notebooks. I wrote his name in mine. We didn't say, I love you, every day, but we didn't need to. We showed it in quiet ways, in how he waited for me after class, in how I saved him a seat, in how we shared headphones on the bus. It felt like we had survived something, like we had crossed a bridge. But love doesn't stop fear. It only makes fear louder. One evening, he texted, Ethan, my dad is moving out. My heart dropped. Me, I'm sorry. Ethan, I don't want to become like them. Me, you won't. Ethan, what if I do? I didn't know how to answer that, because what if he did? What if love was just the cycle of breaking and leaving? What if we were too young to escape it? He started pulling away again. Not completely, just enough to hurt. He said he needed space. I tried to divot, but space feels like silence, and silence feels like rejection. We argued more. About nothing. About everything. You care too much, he said once. You care too little, I replied. Neither of us was right. Neither of us was wrong. We were just afraid in different ways. One night, I cried into my pillow and wrote, I love him, but loving him feels like holding water in my hands. No matter how gently I try, it keeps slipping through. The last time he held me, it was raining. We stood under a bus stop roof. You're important to me, he said, but I don't know if I can be what you need. I didn't answer, because I knew what that meant. It meant he was already halfway gone. Breakups don't always happen with screaming or slamming doors. Sometimes they happen quietly, on a normal day, with normal words. in a place you thought was safe. Ours happened on a Thursday. The sky was pale and empty, like it didn't want to be involved. He texted me in the morning. "Can we meet after school?" My heart already knew, but I still wrote, "Okay." We met in the park again, the same one where everything had started to fall apart. The swings were moving in the wind even though no one was on them. I hated that. It felt like the world was playing without us. He was already there, hands in his pockets, eyes on the ground. I sat next to him. Neither of us spoke at first. Silence has a sound when you're about to lose someone. "I don't think I'm good for you," he said. Just like that. No warm-up, no soft beginning. I felt it hit my chest. "What does that mean?" I asked. He rubbed his hands together. "It means you love me in a way I don't know how to return." "That's not true," I said quickly. "You said you loved me." "I do," he replied, "but love isn't always enough." That sentence felt older than us, too heavy for two teenagers standing in a park. "I feel like I'm drowning," he continued. "Not because of you, because of everything. My parents, school, my head. I wanted to say I could help. I wanted to say I would stay. But he looked like he had already decided. "I don't want to hurt you more than I already have," he said. Tears burned in my eyes. "So you're leaving?" I whispered. He didn't answer right away. Then he nodded. I laughed. I didn't mean to. It just came out. "Funny," I said. "You're leaving because you don't want to hurt me, but leaving is the thing that hurts." He closed his eyes. "I know." We sat there, two people still in love, trying to act like love could be folded and put away. "I don't regret you," he said. "Don't say that like I'm already in the past. I don't want you to hate me." "I don't," I said. "I just don't understand." He looked at me then, really looked at me. "I'm scared that if I stay, I'll become someone who ruins you." That broke me, because I never felt ruined by him. I felt seen. "Do you remember the first time you held my hand?" I asked suddenly. He nodded. "You were cold. You said, 'Here,' like it was nothing." He smiled sadly. "It was everything." I stood up. My legs were shaking. "So this is it?" I asked. He stood too. "I think so." The wind moved his hair, the same hair I used to play with, the same face I had memorized. I wanted to touch him. I didn't. "Say it," I said. "Say what?" "That we're done." He swallowed. "We're done." The word sounded wrong, like it didn't belong to us. I stepped closer, not to kiss him, just to hug him. He froze for a second, then his arms wrapped around me, tight, desperate, like he was afraid to let go. I buried my face in his jacket. I wanted to stay there forever, but forever was not available. When we pulled away, my face was wet. His eyes were red. "I hope you find someone who isn't afraid of you," I said. He looked confused. "Afraid of me?" "Afraid of loving you." That was the truest thing I had ever said. We walked in opposite directions. I didn't look back, because if I did, I wouldn't have kept walking. School after that felt unreal, like I was watching my life through glass. I saw him in the hallway. We didn't talk. Sometimes our eyes met, then looked away. It felt worse than the breakup, like pretending someone never mattered. Emma held me in the bathroom while I cried. "He didn't choose someone else," I said. He just didn't choose himself with me. She didn't say anything. She just held me. At night, I reread our messages. The good mornings, the are you home safe, the I miss you. They felt like words from another lifetime. I wrote in my notebook, I thought love meant staying, but sometimes love means letting go before you destroy each other. Weeks passed. The pain didn't disappear. It changed, from sharp to dull, from screaming to whispering. Some days I was fine. Some days his name hurt. One day I saw him with Maya again. They were talking, laughing. I didn't feel jealous. I felt tired and, strangely, free. Not because I didn't care, but because I finally understood. It wasn't about her. It was about him and what he couldn't give. The last message I ever got from him came late at night. Ethan, I hope you're okay. I stared at it for a long time. Then I wrote, Me, I hope you learn not to be afraid of love. He didn't reply. That was the end of us. Not with a fight, not with betrayal, but with fear and unfinished sentences. I thought the hardest part would be losing him. I was wrong. The hardest part was learning how to be someone without him. At first, everything reminded me of Ethan. The park, the swings, the sound of rain on bus stop roofs, songs we used to share. I stopped listening to music for a while. Silence hurt less than memories. Time passed in strange ways. Some days went fast, some days felt endless. I started sitting in my old seat again, third row by the window. The last row stayed empty for a while. Then another boy sat there. He wasn't Ethan, and that was the point. I changed without noticing. I laughed more with Emma. I focused more on school. I started writing again. Not about him, but about me. About who I was becoming. About the girl who survived her first heartbreak and didn't disappear. I wrote, Love didn't break me. It showed me where I was still soft. One afternoon, months later, I saw Ethan again. Really saw him. Not in passing, not from far away. We stood in line at the same cafe. He looked older. Not taller or stronger, just heavier, like life had added weight to his eyes. He noticed me. Lily, he said. My name sounded strange in his voice. Ethan. We stood there awkwardly, two people who used to be everything. Now just people. How are you? He asked. I thought about lying. I didn't. I'm okay, I said. And you? He shrugged. I'm trying. I nodded. That felt honest. We walked outside together, not like before. No hands, no silence full of meaning, just two teenagers who shared a history. I think about you sometimes, he said. So do I replied. But it doesn't hurt like it used to. He smiled sadly. I wish I had been braver. I didn't answer right away. Then I said, I wish you had too. Not angry, not cruel, just true. We said goodbye. This time, it didn't feel like dying. It felt like closing a book. Not because the story wasn't important, but because it had been read. That night, I wrote in my notebook for the last time about him. You were my first love, not because you were perfect, but because you were real. You taught me that love can be gentle and still not stay. Years later, when I think about him, I don't cry. I smile, not because it ended well, but because it existed. Teenage love is strange like that. It doesn't last forever, but it stays with you. In the way you hold hands, in the way you get scared, in the way you learn what you deserve. I learned that love is not just feeling, it is courage. And we didn't have enough of it back then, but we had enough to change each other. And sometimes that is enough. My name is Lily, and this was the story of my first love. Not the love that stayed, but the love that taught me how to love.